Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, we have some horrible stories today. One is a horrific bus crash that happened between a student-filled bus and a cruise tour bus in Barcelona. Over 50 people involved in this accident, some critically injured. We'll talk about that. We had a bomb threat yesterday interrupting the entire cruise port of Miami for hours and hours yesterday. Not great news again. We have two cruise ships that are stuck out at sea because of a cyclone hitting around New Zealand and Australia. And finally, we have new Broadway shows being brought to you from Norwegian Cruise Line. So first off, let's talk about the bus crash. Apparently, one bus was parked and picking up passengers when another bus all of a sudden slammed on its brakes but didn't stop in time and slammed into the rear end of the other bus that was parked, pushing it up onto the sidewalk, injuring passengers who were loading and passengers sitting at a park bench, as well as crashing it into a tree in front of it. They right now are investigating. Apparently one of the bus was a tour bus from the cruise ships and one was a tour of students who were visiting the capital that day. It is said that 4 people were critically injured and rushed to hospital. Others were treated for minor injuries as well. All of the passengers on board, etc., were being treated. No indication if some of them missed the cruise ships or if the cruise ships waited for them. That's not come out yet, but there is a huge investigation into it. They are saying that weather may have caused a factor into it, but the police are not counting out driver error, bad driving, or as well as mechanical failure of some sort. So just a horrible incident. One of the people who was critically injured was just a passerby that was walking and ended up being hit by the struck bus. Another one was a passenger who was struck and was trapped and actually had to be excavated from the bus by emergency crews. That's another person that was in critical injuries. Another big reason, folks, to always have medical insurance. Things can be as safe and normal as possible as sitting on a bus park bench when something horrific happens like this. So remember, one more reminder, please have travel insurance. And also, thoughts go out to these folks who were just on a tour or students just visiting the capital when this happened. Not a fun story at all, at all, at all. Next, the Port of Miami was called in a bomb threat around 9:30 in the morning, and it actually ended up causing havoc for 5 of the cruise ships that were docked that day. Now, it didn't say if it was a threat on the cruise ships, on the terminals, on the parking, on the police, on the, other container ships, all that. It didn't say where it was, but it did shut down the tunnel in Miami, which was causing a real havoc with people trying to leave the cruise ships as well as get on the cruise ships. In fact, it didn't reopen until 1:30 in the afternoon, which did cause a lot of people panic that they were afraid that they would miss their cruise ships because of this situation. Now, because of this situation, the cruise ships would have waited this time. It's not like you're just late for your cruise. So if something like this happens where the tunnel is shut down and you can't get there, do not worry. The cruise ships will wait as long as possible that they can. But you still should get there the minute that tunnel opens. No word on any ramifications. Obviously, there was no bomb, and we're not really sure where the threat came from. Just disrupted Miami port completely for the day. Now, we reported out the other day that Cyclone Alfred was in Brisbane and heading there and causing havoc. They are shutting down the buses, they shut down the schools, they prepared for flooding, and they've closed the cruise port in Brisbane. Well, this has caused 2 cruise ships, the Quantum of the Seas, that was due to arrive tomorrow, as well as the Carnival Luminosa that was scheduled to arrive today, is now staying a few extra days out at sea waiting for this cyclone to go by. The earliest the cruise port is scheduled to open now is on the 8th, and that's the earliest opening time. It could even open on the 8th at 9 o'clock at night, or the next day, or the day after. Depends on how long the cyclone decides to hit Brisbane. Now the main thing is, for the cruise ships, they're perfectly safe. They're out of harm's way. They've moved to a safer distance and in calmer seas. Passengers will just enjoy a few more days at sea. Of course, if you have to fly anywhere after this cruise, it can be a pain in the butt, but at least you're safe and not riding in a cyclone and a hurricane. As far as Brisbane is concerned, let's hope they suffer the least amount of damage possible. It's very rare for a cyclone to hit this time of year, and especially in Brisbane, that end of the island. So yeah, it's just one of those things you have to be prepared for whenever you're cruising. You never know what the weather is going to throw at you. And finally, we have some news about Norwegian Cruise Line, as they have begun rolling out some brand new shows on their ship. One is called Red, White, and British. We have Bring Back the 90s, we have Icons, the bands, and then we have Ignite the Night. And these are being rolled out now. 2 of them are already beginning to go out onto those ships, and then they will spread them out to the rest of the fleet at a later date. Now, I applaud this. I always love new shows. Bring on the new shows, folks. After seeing certain shows for 20, 30 times, I'm more than happy to see some new shows come online on an NCL ship. One thing that is a little concerning, I was hoping that this would mean they're bringing back like 2 huge Broadway productions, maybe 3 Broadway productions back onto their fleet. But it looks like when they're bringing on a new number, it looks like they could be removing others. For instance, I have heard now that on some ships, the schedule for the $1 Million Quartet, which is a show based around the get-together, the one-time only ever get-together of some famous musicians. You may have heard of them. They're slightly famous. We have Johnny Cash, Carl Perkins, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Elvis Presley. So that is a show that was pretty prominent on a lot of the ships in Norwegian, a very popular ship. The good news I've heard is that the cast members are just moving from one production show to another production show. They're not dismissing the casts and revamping their system like that. So I'm glad to hear that. And you know what? New shows are new shows, and while $1 Million Quartet was a really fun show to watch, and I know some entertainers personally who have been in that production show, and I'm excited to see what they do with the new shows. And yeah, more shows, as far as I'm concerned, the better. Well, I hope you appreciate this news update. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.